11 o'clock on the tail end of a hurricane, and hopefully all of you did well. The trees stayed where they were supposed to stay. If not, then if there's anything we can do to help, let us know. And if you are arranging to send aid to some of the folks on the coast, and I know some churches are doing this, let us know that you're doing this. Let us know the details so we can send people your way with blankets and clothing and whatever, and food and whatever else you're gathering for those people, because really the only thing we can offer as a radio station is a way to communicate with the community. Mm-hmm. I need to push a button because guess who's in the studio? There she is.
Yay!
It is Vanessa Lane Jennings coming in to answer your questions about the law. We were talking before we went on the air, Robin, about the what's his name, Jared Fogle case?
That is true.
Oh my gosh,
Jared Fogle, yeah.
That is so disgusting that he's blaming the girl's parents. And you made a point. You had, because I said, what a jerk, what a dirty, whatever I called him. I think I called him something bad, didn't I? And then,
I'm glad.
I will never admit or deny to that.
But you said, well, he's got nothing to lose because he's in prison.
Right.
And you also said it might be a tactic to delay ultimately what's going to happen to him, which is being ordered to pay back $1,400,000, something like that?
Yeah, I believe there's 14 victims in the case, and it was $100,000 per victim. So
how does he benefit, and why would his lawyer go along with that, to just delay it? What does delaying do?
Well, I'm going to presume that his lawyer thinks that it's not just a delay tactic, that potentially if the parents are found to have some fault in the emotional distress of this child, that $100,000 penalty is going to be reduced proportionally to whatever their percentage of responsibility for her emotional distress is.
Oh my gosh.
This is aside from the actual law part of this, but do you think that his crime hurt Subway at all? Because I still go to Subway.
I'm going to say absolutely for some people.
Really?
I'm sure there's some people out there who stopped going to Subway over this.
Really?
Yes, because every time something happens, whether it's Subway or Chick-fil-A or Target, there's people who do personal boycotts. So I'm sure there was some financial impact. Probably not a great financial impact, but there's some, because it's not Subway's fault.
No, but I mean, it's the vision of what happened.
Right, he was the face of the company.
You don't want to be in that area.
I don't picture that when I'm eating a sandwich.
I would hope not.
Can you imagine that? I'll have the turkey. Never mind, it brings up these bad images in my brain.
I am now going to Chick-fil-A. Thank you. Bye-bye.
But this is an interesting case, and I don't understand how come he could think, even make some kind of accusation about that against the parents. I mean, he's just grasping at straws here, in my opinion.
No, and I could see why that would 100% be your opinion. I mean, as looking at it from the legal perspective, I would just say that he wants to make sure that he's paying as little as humanly possible, but whether that's right or wrong,
Oh, gosh.
Vanessa, let me ask you something based on the storm that we just went through. If somebody had flood insurance, because this happened in 2004, remember this happened in 2004? People called in to say, I have flood insurance, but my insurance company's not honoring it because the water came in the form of rain and not in the form of a rising river. And then we had insurance experts who said, well, that's because you have to buy the insurance.
Wind insurance.
What is it called? Wind insurance?
Wind insurance, yeah.
So would you defend some? I mean, do you look at the contract as an attorney and say, oh my gosh, there's nothing we can do? Or can you sometimes fight it even though in black and white? And here's why I feel like we should be able to fight this. Because as the average person, there's a whole load of words on those contracts and we just sign them. And if we're told flood insurance, we think flood insurance. We don't think rain versus river. We don't think that.
See, they explained it to me when I bought my first house. Because I was beside a flood zone.
You had a good insurance guy then, right?
Right.
Or lady.
So that would be it. Everyone should go see Angie, though, State Farm. But
was it Angie?
No, but she has.
But see, that's a good example. Yes, every single not patient, every single customer needs to know.
Right.
Okay.
Because I was beside a flood zone. I wasn't in a flood zone.
Would you live near the water?
Yes, this was when I was in Sarasota.
Oh,
so that's
oh
where
yeah.
my first house was.
Yeah.
So, and my parents, they were in a high velocity zone and they were next to a high velocity zone, but in a flood zone. And a high velocity zone means there's a higher impact for hurricane winds. Like the neighbor's house was in it, but they weren't in it because they were right off of Sarasota Bay. But they're right on the curve. So because it curved a little bit, they were out of the high velocity zone. So you have to, for their neighbor, they would have to have flood insurance, the hurricane insurance, the wind insurance, and then also a high velocity rider. So they would have to have 3 policies if a hurricane were to hit. Their neighbors were, where my parents would only need 2.
So I'm guessing the end result then, if I visited you thinking I had a case, you would basically say, I'd love to help you, but you don't have a case? Is that what would happen?
I mean, it would depend on what the incident is and what the verbiage is of that particular policy, because it depends on how the policy was written. But some of them are pretty clear. I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb and say nobody reads their policy, or very few people read their policy. I didn't read my policy, but it's in there. And I've read enough policies in my life to know they're very detailed, and it says does not protect against hurricanes.
But see, if you read a policy for me as my attorney, and you explained it to me, but I never did actually read it, I would trust that what you are telling me is exactly what's in it because I trust you.
Right.
And that's usually what happens.
That's exactly what happens. People who don't read contracts, they bring it to me all the time. Say, I'm not even going to bother reading this. Just tell me what it says.
That's what happened the other day. I signed a petition, 5 petitions.
Yep.
They asked me to sign these petitions, and it was one of those cash advance places that I use.
We need to do that from time to time.
Anyway. So I guess the government wants to either close them down or change how they do what they do. So they said, if you appreciate what we do with you here, would you sign these 5? What do you call them? Petitions. And I said, why is there 5? Well, there's 5 different things. And I said, you couldn't put them all in one? And I guess whatever, they couldn't.
No, they have to be separate.
Is that right?
Oh.
Yeah.
So I had to put the address, my name, my date, print it and sign it. And if they're not teaching cursive anyway, how are people signing their names? I don't understand that.
That's a good question.
I believe they are teaching basic cursive, from my understanding. I just don't think it's a full curriculum. Like, they used to actually spend a lot of time on it.
Gosh, but you really have a hard job, because now that the hurricane is past, people are probably looking at their policies now, and then they'll be coming to you to see if there's something that you can do, or try to set them up with a better one for in the future.
Well, no, they would be going to Angie Lewis. They wouldn't be coming to me.
okay.
Unless they wanted to sue. Poor
Angie.
Poor Angie. Unless they're suing Angie. Don't sue Angie.
Oh, gosh.
Weren't you going to help her become mayor?
That may or may not ever happen. That is a personal goal.
How did you fare in the storm yesterday?
Fine. I think there was some, under parts of the trees, little branches here and there, but
That's it. That's all that happened for you?
Yeah, there's nothing bad at all.
And you got up about the same time I did. You got up at 1.
I did. I went to bed super early for me, which was 10, and then was up at 1 for the storm.
Did your electricity go off at all?
Not even once. I don't even think it flickered.
Oh, my
Really?
gosh.
Yeah, I got up at 1. And typically what I do is I get up at 3, and then I do a lot of my work for here at home, and then I email it to myself and I come here. So I started doing that at 1, thinking there's going to be a lot of news because of all this rain and everything. And then my electricity went off. So then I drove here. So, but fortunately,
Wait, you drove here in the hurricane?
yeah. and fortunately, knock on wood, I haven't had any reports of anything horrendous in Ocala. I mean, I'm not saying there was nothing, because I
think there was only one. I think there was one hurricane-related death.
In Ocala?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't hear that.
Yeah. There was
we have to
it was
check
on
that
Joe
out.
Reichel's page.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was a homeless man. From what I remember reading, it was a homeless man who was living. He had a tent, but a big tent, because apparently there was a couch in it, and a tree fell on the tent.
Oh, and a tree fell through a house, too. I'm looking at this picture right now on the Star Banner. A total of 25 rescue workers from Marion and Alachua counties have deployed to Chiefland to link up with the National Guard for Swift Water Rescue. Okay.
Oh my gosh. And that's really wonderful when communities come together like that to help other people.
Absolutely. I remember, because I lived down south in Hurricane Andrew, and they closed off all the roads right after Hurricane Andrew, but my parents...
that was a huge bad one.
It was. And we were in Fort Lauderdale, so we were just north of, like, the really bad stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But we had to drive the day after the hurricane to Key Largo, or a little bit past Key Largo, because there was one death down there that... they were going to use my dad's funeral home, so he had to go and do the removal and bring the body back up.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember just seeing because going down the interstate, it was closed for, like, we were probably one of the few civilians on the road.
Really?
It was closed to everyone, but workers from other states, and there was like you could see Georgia electricians coming, and South Carolina, North Carolina. You just saw them all coming down the road to kind of help out, and tree removal companies from different. You just saw everyone coming down the road was from a different state, and it was very interesting.
Oh my gosh.
Vanessa, we have to take a little break. If you would like to call in, Vanessa is live right now, the day after the hurricane. So you know that you're listening to a live show on September 2nd. Earlier, there was a recorded show, so we don't want to confuse you. This is live. If you want to call in, Vanessa is here. The number is 622-9622. After the break, we'll give you Vanessa's office number so you can call her off the air. And we'll take a break and be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. On this Friday, mostly cloudy and windy with a couple of showers and a heavy thunderstorm, highs in the 80s. Mostly cloudy Friday night, low 73 to 77. For Saturday, more clouds and sun with a drenching thunderstorm or two, the high 86 to 90. On Sunday, clouds and sun with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm, high 87 to 91. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Are you wasting hundreds or thousands of dollars on termite retreat fees? If you're not with Turner Pest Control, you probably are. Turner Pest Control offers the industry's only termite and pest control package that never charges retreat fees, ever. You can get started today for only $99. This is a value of $500 or more. This includes treatments, installation of monitoring stations, quarterly pest control, and a lifetime guarantee, all for an unbelievable low $99. Even if you have another pest control provider, visit turnerpest.com to find out how you can avoid paying those high termite retreat fees.
Looking to put your money to work? Florida Credit Union has a CD special, 25 months for 1.41% APY with a $10,000 minimum. Federally insured by the NCUA, a government agency. These rates effective through September 15th, subject to change at any time. Visit one of Florida Credit Union's convenient locations today or their website, flcu.org, or call 352-237-8222. Don't miss this 25-month CD special. Again, the APY is 1.41%. Act now.
When you go into Automax, Marion County's #1 pre-owned dealer for over 15 years, you won't take the new car depreciation because Automax saves you thousands on late model vehicles. Browse the inventory online at automaxocala.com. Then come down to see the great vehicles and upfront pricing in person. Compare up to 60 models inside the climate control showroom. So take your time. No high pressure, no gimmicks, no games. On the corner of 17th and Easy Street. Automax. Quality cars, outlet prices.
This is Kendall Carpenter with Golden Ocala Golf and Equestrian Club. I want to introduce you to the finest equestrian opportunity available. If you love horses and enjoy Central Florida's mild climate and rich rolling landscape, come explore Golden Ocala. Bridle trails weave their way through this stunningly beautiful community of stately homes. Our state-of-the-art equestrian center will meet all of your equestrian needs with style. Visit us at goldenocala.com.
WWWOCA, WWWOCA.
Be sure to tune in to Ocala's longest-running morning radio talk show.
AM Ocala Live from 7 a.m. till noon, weekdays.
Right here on WOCA The Source.
Visit the WOCA website at www.woca.com.
All right, Vanessa, Lane Jennings is in the studio. This show is called Legal Lane. If you would like to call Vanessa right now, the number is 622-9622. If you're listening on September 2nd, Friday, September 2nd, then you're listening to a live show the day after Hurricane Hermine. Actually, it's still happening, but not happening here anymore. When you say when a contract says an act of God, You can't sue if there's an act of God. This
Correct.
obviously was an act of God.
This is an act of
Right?
God, yes.
So that some people are not protected because of this,
Well,
depending on the contract, right?
right, depending on the contract. So let's just take a lease, for example, and you have a commercial lease, and you're going to lease this building that we're in right now. And it says that if there's an act of God, that the landlord isn't responsible for finding you a new place or for fixing it instantaneously. He has 60 days to fix it. So you could be without a commercial space for up to 60 days.
So how
So that
come,
would be
how come
what an
legal
act of God.
documents can say act of God, but they don't want the 10 Commandments on the courthouse?
Well, they don't always say act of God. It's force majeure.
What is it called?
Force majeure.
Wow.
Force majeure.
That sounds French. What does it mean?
Yeah.
Act of God?
It means a force of nature.
Oh, force of nature. Okay.
So when I came in this morning, then it was dark, and then of course I always drive real slow, and they had like branches in that part of the road that is on the mall's property. If people were careless and they didn't drive slow, and then they came in and their car hit those branches, and something happened to the car, could they sue?
Anyone could sue for any reason
Oh,
whatsoever.
okay.
They could. I mean, realistically, the counter or affirmative defense is really what it is, would be that it was an assumption of the risk, because had they been not negligent themselves and had two things. Assumption of the risk, because one, they're driving during the hurricane, because if it's dark out, the hurricane was still going. So you should not have been driving. And then two, the other affirmative defense that they would probably use is they weren't paying attention themselves, and they themselves were acting negligently. So whatever recovery that they should get would be proportionally reduced by the amount of their negligence.
Oh, okay.
So there's all kinds of affirmative defenses that would come their way. But could they sue? Yeah, I mean, they could.
I think some people just sue just to sue. I mean, I think that's kind of like a way of
Yes.
life sometimes.
Oh,
and
really?
It really isn't any common sense. They don't use it.
No, that I get text messages all the time that say, like, from clients who are legitimate clients for other reasons. This just happened. Can I sue them? No.
It seems-
Well, and my answer is always yes, but you're not going to actually get what you want. You were looking for $1 million. You're not going to get
Doesn't it
$1
seem
million.
like Donald Trump sues a lot of people? Like every time you turn around, there's another lawsuit that he's in the news for.
Yes,
So
but
he must
does
be
a
one of
lot-
those
but he does
litigious
a-
guys, whatever you say.
But he also does a lot of business. He does more business than the average person. I'm not defending him in any way, shape, or form, but I'm just saying he does a lot of
in
contract
other words, you
work.
understand why there'd be so many lawsuits.
Yeah, sometimes it's also proactive to sue someone so you don't get sued yourself.
Oh, okay.
They're not that they're not going to turn around and counter sue you, but
Well, you really, everybody that you represent, I mean, you do such a variety of cases on a variety of levels. It seems that you have to know everything about everything. Then, how do you keep things from being confused? Because in
Like we do.
one court, it must be, your defense must be different than in another type of a court.
well, every area of law has its own body of rules and regulations and governing policies. Like there's family court has family law rules and family law procedure. So it follows its own set of decorum and set of standards. Civil law is completely different. Criminal law, yet again, is completely different. So it's just they're separate worlds for me. So in my head, they don't touch each other.
Oh, okay.
Every once in a while they will, like a forfeiture case where the government comes and takes, money from a civilian due to criminal charges. Like if there's someone who's accused of trafficking cocaine and they had $5,000 in their pocket, the government would take that money and the criminal would theoretically forfeit it to the government, and they have to have a civil action. That's civil. Then you go civilly, but however, the person was actually charged with a crime. So you're dealing with both civil law and criminal law when you deal with forfeiture, because there's could be a defense that you would use in the criminal case in the civil case.
Oh,
so
my
other than
gosh.
that weird little overlap, most of the time there's not overlapping between their own little planets.
So when the police confiscate a car that was used for drug use or something like that,
Correct.
What is the rules with that? For example, and I heard that they could take a house too. Can they take a house?
They could take anything.
Okay.
Well, I meant
So let's say grandma.
if they presume that that house was bought from funds from an illegal operation, and that
Oh,
it-
that's
they're-
or the
they
car.
could take the house. If the car came, so what the person does is the person would have, or the lawyer says, okay, well, that car was actually a gift from grandma. Grandma bought that car. And they show proof that the funds came from grandma. Grandmother was a nurse for 20 years, 30 years, whatever. And it came from her bank account. She had the money to buy the car. They have to give the car back then.
Oh, okay.
Because
okay.
it wasn't bought from while it might have been used theoretically in an illegal, allegedly, an illegal operation, it did not come from the source of it. And that's just something, not that they have to give back, but you go to court and you argue it and you normally get that back. When it comes down to money, that comes a little bit harder. You would have to show where that source of money is, and that's when you get into like taxes and pay stubs and W-2s.
Oh
and
my gosh.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes
Oh my
those things don't exist.
But grandma can't give you money to buy a house, right?
Grandma can give you money to buy a house.
I thought you had to show where you got it from.
I mean, grandma could buy the house and then quit claim deed it to you.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
So she bought your
But
house.
isn't that the way it is, though? If you have, okay, let's say you need a down payment. And, oh my gosh, I don't have that down payment. And then you come back next week and I got the down payment. Well, where'd you get it from? Oh, grandma gave it to me.
Yeah, if you're using a loan. See, you're using a loan in your hypothetical.
So, okay, so you can't get a loan if you do
You
that?
can, but okay, I don't speak for banks anywhere at
okay.
all. But my understanding, because I've worked with clients with it, is that you need a gift letter. There's actually like a letter form that they hand you, and it says, I gifted Billy Joe Bob $5,000. And I don't want that money back because it can't be a loan. Because if it's a loan, then you don't get your loan. They won't give you another loan.
Oh.
And we do have a phone call. Vanessa is here. Vanessa Lynn Jennings. Good morning. You're on the air with Vanessa.
Yeah, good morning, good morning. If your cousin comes to visit you and he borrows your car and he does a drug deal on the other side of town, can the police confiscate your car because your cousin did this drug deal without your knowledge?
Well, they can impound your car, of course, because if there was no one in the car with them and your cousin doesn't give them your name and you don't come out to the scene and show proof of ownership, they're going to probably impound the car because they wouldn't just leave it on the side of the road. So they would have it towed and taken to the impound lot. But at that point in time, since you're the owner of the car, you would just show proof of ownership and you would be able to go and pick up your car normally.
Oh, really? They wouldn't give you a hard time?
Well, they would probably, by the time, before you picked it up, they're going to search it and make sure that there's nothing in it and,
Oh,
you know.
okay. So,
Wow.
You know what, Jim? Just tell that cousin to go home. Just
Yeah,
he's
don't
too much
hang out with that
trouble.
cousin.
He's too much trouble. See, my example was going to be, and this, in the back of my mind, there was a story years and years ago about a lady who was a grandma, and her grandson was in the house, and he was using marijuana. And nowadays, marijuana is, they've made it more gentle, the penalty, right? Or am I wrong?
Some jurisdictions.
But anyway, so they were taking grandma's house away because he was smoking marijuana in their house. They came and busted him, and I said,
Was he smoking? Was he growing?
I don't know.
Like, I'm going to presume that there's some kind of operation going, because I can't.
but if she didn't know about it, that's crazy.
Right. Grandma needs a lawyer.
Yeah, well, probably she got one. I'm
I
guessing.
hope she did.
Wow. That's got
That
to
was
be
a
hard.
long time ago. That was about Hurricane Andrew time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was in the early 90s. Yeah.
Well, you have such a gift about you, Vanessa, because you
Thank
can
you.
just really feel compassion about the people that you're representing and be tough on the people that you need to be tough on. You really have a good balancing
You have
position there. Gosh.
Plus, you just did a whole hour. That's amazing.
I know.
Just did a whole hour.
to. I know. It only seemed like half an hour. I don't even know.
Vanessa, what is your phone number?
My phone number is area code 352-804-0092.
Well, I'm glad you fared well in the storm, and
Thank you. You
and
too.
be careful going home. There are limbs in the roads.
There are.
We'll be right back. Thank you, Vanessa.
Bye-bye.
Fox News Radio, I'm Karen McHugh. Once a hurricane, now a tropical storm. Hermine's moved beyond Florida's Gulf Coast and is now in Georgia.